This is the Run Recap.
What's been going on? Have you been running at all?
Yeah, not like a ton, but a good amount.
Yeah.
Getting in something clicked like a week ago. I got speed back again.
Oh, wow.
Like I've been
Interesting.
struggling running in like that 8 minute range for a while, and which is just fine. Like that's just where I was at. And I knew that like I haven't been very consistent, so I knew I'd have to run at that speed for a little while, and it's gonna get faster and faster. And then really because my pace days for my training is at 7:45 pace. And I could
Okay.
drop down into that range just fine. That was no big. That was, I mean, I was pushing, but it was just fine, totally reasonable.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, like a week ago, I think I must have just recovered really well or something. But all of a sudden, I was dropping down to low sevens. So I did 5 miles the other
Wow.
day, I was running low sevens, and that's with stopping for stoplights and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
it still counted. So
That's brutal.
anyway. Yeah, so that's kind of surprising. I don't know. When you do a lot of cross trains, it's hard to know what all clicked together to suddenly make something work way better than what really just your training was showing could happen.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so,
yeah, definitely.
but I'm doing that because I'm lifting now. I'm doing the bar classes real consistent. I'm doing those like twice a week, and then I've got my other like kickboxing class too, and I'm running, and I'm snowboarding. So
Yeah.
you put all that
That's a lot.
together, and sometimes all that just breaks you down and wears you down, and other times just like there's so much going on, there's no way to know what combination's working. Something's working right now. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what it is, but I suddenly got faster without more effort and was just awesome. So cool. I'm sticking with that then.
That's awesome. That's gotta
Yeah.
that's gotta feel good. I
Yep.
I've been hitting like a couple runs here and there because it's been a little bit warmer, like having some nice days, and that's always. I'm such a fair weather runner.
Yeah.
It's so terrible. Like I just don't want to when it's all cold. But I will say
I
I
get
think
it.
the best thing that this podcast has been doing for me is kind of forcing me to run during the winter.
Yeah. You definitely
You
did more of
know?
it this year than you have. Well,
And
this has been motivating for both of us, really, because same thing. There's been a
yeah.
few runs that I've gone out on that, like, I would not have done.
No,
Like,
definitely
no,
not.
it's crappy out. I am not going out and running in that. And
And
then I'm
like
like,
I
well, I
haven't been
needed something to talk
super
about.
yeah, I haven't been really consistent this winter, but way more than I would typically in the
Sure.
winter time.
Yeah.
But man, that you sent me a video of that guy running of those like real motivational, and he's like, talk about how runners are just like it's a different mindset and they're a different breed and all this stuff,
Yeah.
and I kind of get it, but I also do not get that at all. Like running is still just like this is a terrible thing I'm going to go do.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think
No, I don't
that's
either.
some of it is that. I mean, I I am always shocked by people that say that they really enjoy it and they get that runner's high regularly and
Yeah.
all that. Like I don't understand that at all. Like that's
Yeah.
amazing that people get to experience that.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
on a bad day, I'm doing this because I need my knees to stay in shape so I can keep snowboarding, you know?
Yeah,
And on a good day, it's like,
exactly.
"Oh, cool, this was fun. That's amazing that I got to have that." But most days are
Ex-
like, "Nah, I just have to maintain."
yeah. So I went for a good run on a Thursday that was like uh it was my normal kind of 3 mile with the stair intervals in the middle, and it was
Mhm.
and it felt just stupid hard.
You had some fast splits though.
I mean, yeah, I mean, kind of the last one got under, it got under
You were
7,
under 7.
barely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that doesn't feel fast these days.
Yeah. Well, and it depends how you do it. Like 7 can be
Yeah,
really fast or not very fast. It all depends on what your stride is like, how you're feeling
yeah,
that day,
yeah.
but because I did notice like 7 flat pace can be, if you have a good long stride, it can be a really relaxing pace.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
then, but if you shorten that up a bit, you're really moving.
yeah, yeah. And it's oftentimes on those kind of runs because I wasn't trying to get out and do anything really fast. I was just trying to get outside, get outside, and the
Hmm.
first mile was definitely just just moving, like I just go and whatever is comfortable is fine. Like, and it felt like a 7:30 and it was around a 7:30. On the
Hmm.
way back, I was just trying to push, which is kind of
Yeah,
my normal MO. It's like the last mile, not push like when I say push, literally push the ground. Like not
sure.
push my pace, not like push myself, but like just every step try to push the ground a little bit harder, and
That
that's it.
are you focusing on the launch from the calf specifically, or is it full leg?
Um the full leg. I guess you could say it's from the calf specifically.
Hmm.
Uh but more I kind of a mixture. I don't
Hmm.
know. I'm not thinking that specific. I'm just thinking pushing the ground. Like
I
just propel.
Yeah, I only say that I noticed as I got older, my stride shortened. And I noticed that with older
Mm,
runners in general, like their
yeah.
stride gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And then all of a sudden you're putting in just as much work running 8 minute miles you were running a 6 minute mile, right? As far
Right.
as like
Right.
how often the legs are hitting and stuff like that. And I have noticed a significant difference by how good a shape my calf is in, by how easy
Yeah.
faster paces are. So
Yeah.
when I'm doing workouts with a lot of bouncing, a lot of calf work and stuff like that. And when my calf's in really good shape, you get that last little snap off of the
Yeah.
stride. It can be a
Yeah.
difference of like 4 inches in your stride, maybe even
Oh
more.
yeah.
Obviously I'm not measuring, I'm just like going off the top of my head,
Yeah, feel. Right.
but a significant amount from just a little snap at the end, and all of a sudden that stride gets long. Now all of a sudden, again, instead of relaxing at 8 minute miles, now I'm relaxing at 7 minute miles. And man, I noticed that it is like 2 years ago that I changed what I was doing working out, and I didn't even know that that was out of shape, got it in shape, and then it was like, whoa, I got significantly faster. Like that was so much
Yeah.
in a matter of like 2 weeks. Like it wasn't even close.
Mhm.
It was pretty
Yeah, that
neat that
was
just that minor change could really do that.
yeah, that was a big one for me a few years back as well. Not the calf necessarily, but just the different types of strides
Hmm.
and pushes. Not even I think people get lost in foot placement a lot, of mid foot strike, heel strike,
Sure.
toe strike, whatever it is. But I think a lot of quickness comes from the propulsion from each step, really pushing the ground
Hmm.
away from you, not trying to cycle faster, not trying to go faster, but just focusing on every push. It's funny. I saw a post of a guy who's talking about how when you're a runner, every step you should think of like a rep. And I think both you and
Mm,
I have gone through phases of that, right?
sure.
Like you're fixing
Hmm.
something, you're fixing a stride, and so yeah,
Yeah.
yes, every step is very important. It's so
Hmm.
tedious and so annoying when you're fixing technique, but
So track
but
workouts are
really,
great for though, right? When you have a
yeah,
track, so it's all consistent and you can pick apart little pieces. Exactly where am I landing? Where am I taking off? What toes am I using? Like you really get through those details.
yeah, exactly. And it's tedious. It's kind of annoying. It takes so much time, but it makes you so much faster without
Hmm.
trying, right? Without
Hmm.
actually trying to run fast. Like I think that's the problem. Is oftentimes we're trying to run fast, and that's the wrong focus,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And it's very distracting sometimes, and not actually productive with what you're trying to do.
Totally.
Um, have you tried to? I mean, you've had moments of that, like right, trying to like fix your stride or your technique or
Yeah.
that kind of
I
thing.
mean, the more significant one, I was like, I think I was in seventh grade, something like that. And I had in my head like I was like no maybe it's like fifth, sixth, seventh grade, somewhere right in there. Um, and I was running and I didn't like the noise my feet were making. So for a long time
Yeah,
I ran way quieter. And by running
yeah,
way quieter, then I was heel striking hard. And
yep,
then it atrophied my calf to where like I had really strong quads and my calf was just nothing.
yeah,
And then so dad helped me with like, okay, he's like, you're gonna need to get that in shape here so you can have a better launch and stuff like that going into I think yeah, it was just before going into seventh grade where I'd actually be really racing people.
hmm
And and so I walked on my tiptoes everywhere around the house for if my memory's right, like 3 weeks. I've
yeah,
just stayed up on my tiptoes everywhere I went, just stay up there. And then when I ran, I tried to not even let my heel touch. And
yeah,
obviously it still did, but it was like, okay, the focus is going to be overcorrecting so that I can
Right.
get down to just right where proper running is, and
Yeah.
that's it. And I'd say that I probably never got to a bad habit as far as foot striking goes after that. It was good.
Okay.
Then I had to learn how to do it slow when I went through barefoot running for a while. And that was a
Yeah.
different
Right.
thing of learning how to not heel strike when running really slow or on, various terrain and stuff like that. But I do that
Yeah.
one main time, and I spent a long time on it, but that one main time really focusing on that straightened up my stride pretty good forever after that.
That's funny. I went through a very similar thing of trying to run quiet and it totally messed me up and
What's up
having
with
to like
that? Why
I didn't
was it
have
about the
to
same
fix
age?
it. No, it was later. I think it was
Okay.
like it was I think it might have been in college even
Uh-huh.
because my time is spent sprinting where you don't have to worry about running quiet or not. And so it
Yeah,
was
you're just
on
pounding
my
it. Yeah.
yeah, it's just you're all on your toes anyway, but it was on my off days, on like my long recovery days where I need to go like do a
Hmm.
fartlek or something that I was like trying to really run quiet and then I was noticing like at sometime within there, I'm like, oh, my heel is just hitting really hard.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
not
it's
hard, but
really
like really
counterintuitive.
prominent, right?
You think that like running smoother will be faster or something like that's
Yeah.
the idea, right? I want to get
Yeah,
smoother, so
exactly.
I don't sound like I'm just pounding the ground here. I want to get
Yeah.
smoother and smoother, and then you realize like no, I'm actually putting on the brakes on every single step, and I'm about to
Yeah.
destroy my knees because I'm landing completely wrong.
Yeah. Well, and then I found the balance though of hit of you don't heel strike and you try to run as level as possible. So you're trying to run smooth and kind of quiet and
Hmm.
not because like you could go the opposite. Like, okay, I don't want to heel strike. I want to run. I don't worry about the being quiet about it. And then you go to the gazelle run, right? Where you're
Right.
up and down, where you're doing way too much vertical in
Yeah.
your run. You're propelling up and not forward. And
Hmm.
so like there's that happy medium of like, no, you can run smooth and kind of quiet, right?
If the
Without
foot is already starting to move back when it strikes the ground, then it's quiet and propelling.
well, does
And
it need to
and
be
your
under your
and your
hips?
knee is then is in front of your ankle, and so you're landing with it's a smooth stride, but you're
Mm-hmm.
still landing on that ball of your foot, and then the heel
Yeah.
again will probably touch or something or whatever, but it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter
Right. Yeah.
as
Depend.
long as the
That
ball
depends
strikes
on.
first.
Well, that depends on speed, right? How fast you
Yeah.
run, whether the heel touches or not.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the heel can. Yeah, if you're going slow, but you still have that first contact up there, which is then again a forward
Mm-hmm.
propelling.
Yeah.
You're not putting on the brakes at any point in your stride,
Yeah.
and that's
Exactly.
what I notice anytime I get so. And I do struggle with that going much slower. So if I'm going a really long ways, then it's harder to do that. Where it's like, okay, well, the distance I'm going to go, I really need to be in that 9, 10 minute mile range or slower.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when I think I just haven't done enough of that for my stride to be very good. And so I kind of have to, for my own health, I have to stay in that 8 minute, 8:30 at the slowest. Otherwise, like I'm going to hurt my joints because I'm just not very good at it.
Well, it's not good for you anyway. Going slow is bad for you as it is.
Oh, yeah,
So.
it, it's it's its own game, that's for sure.
What I'm really excited about is to uh, get back into just consistent speeds. It's like I go through this cycle every year of wintertime. I may or may not run, and then it's like getting back to sixes where
Hmm.
you feel, when you're in shape enough to where sixes feel comfortable and they're
Hmm.
like easy, you're not pushing that hard. And that's like running a 6:30 is like, oh, just like the go to pace
Hmm.
for, anywhere from 2 to 4 to 5 miles. Right. And, and this year, I think I might be back into that sooner
Uh-huh.
than I thought because we've been running a little bit more consistent. Um, but I'm excited to finally, or this is that time of year where I get excited to get back into like I don't really want to run, but I want to feel good running. You
Well,
know
and as
what I
soon as you
mean?
do get, man, the faster you go, the more fun it is, right? That's
Yeah.
just, and I know it's not everyone's experience, but I know for you and I,
Yeah.
that's always the case where it's more exciting, it's more enjoyable, all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's always then the draw to go faster is even like, ooh, I'll bet it's even more fun. 30
Yeah.
seconds faster than this, like, okay, if 7 minute is fun, then 6:30 is probably more fun. The 630 is fun. Six flat's probably real fun,
It
and then all
just
of a sudden you're
feels
like,
like
"Ooh, can
you're
I go 530s again?"
yeah, it just feels like you're cruising and everything is just on like autopilot and smooth and,
Yeah. And really, 6-minute pace on trails is pretty exciting.
Oh
Trees are
yeah.
moving by you fast.
Yeah.
You're constantly turning because those trails are adjusting on you pretty quickly at that speed. And it's real exciting. I mean, that was
Well,
my cross country pace in high school. And yeah, I
yeah.
remember that being, feeling like you're sprinting to a degree. And, because you're
Yeah, yeah.
constantly turning, constantly adjusting. You got people that you're passing and passing you. And it's a pretty exciting, you know, 18 minutes.
Well, then you're snowboarding, basically, right?
Right.
Then you have
Hmm.
the parallel, kind of like we always used to do when we were younger. Of every summer is trying to find the thing that is as close to snowboarding as possible, right? That's why
We
we
would
got
have loved
into
mountain biking back in the day. Like if they made mountain bikes like they do
yeah,
now at that age, because getting into that over the last couple years, riding single track on a mountain bike is like snowboarding trees. It
really,
feels just like it. You even have one foot forward instead of the other, so you can ride switch
yeah.
regular. Like all that, there's so much overlap there that it really feels very similar.
Man, I'm so awkward on a bike that's really hard to imagine for me. Like, obviously, I'm not awkward. I can ride a bike
Sure,
fine, right?
yeah.
It's not like
It's like me
it's
telling people
this.
I can't swim. I mean, obviously I can swim.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just not gonna go very far.
no, and it's not. It's I don't. I have a hard time. I have a hard time envisioning it being enjoyable
Yeah,
beyond like, oh, I'm gonna ride a bike to this place and then be done.
sure.
Like, uh, I'll hop. I got this buddy over here, really good BMX rider, and Jonah. You've met Jonah before,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and really, really good. And so
Hmm.
like a couple years back, I'd hop on his bike every now and then, ride around the park, and it just felt terrible. Like
Yeah.
it didn't feel like something I wanted to. Sometimes you can start with something brand new and you're like, "Oh, I'm excited to learn how to do this." Like
Right.
this can I can see the potential of this. And I'd hop on, I'm like, No, I don't care about
The
this stuff."
the
No, I've
the
never done like a
BMX.
mountain biking thing,
Yeah,
but
because the BMX that I remember, riding a BMX bike when I was 8 years old through trails was like
yeah.
my favorite. I love that so
Yeah.
much. And then you hop on a BMX bike now, and you're riding still the same size bike as I did at 8 years old. So now it feels
Yeah.
teeny. It doesn't work. Like every time I
Right.
borrowed a guy's bike at the park, like I can't do this at
Yeah.
all. And then, but being on a full suspension mountain bike is, I think, an equivalent size to what we used to ride with BMX bikes.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, yeah, so it does it like as soon as I got one, I'm like, oh, I'm 8 years old again. Like I'm out playing bikes with my friends, 8 years old again. This is
Yeah.
so much fun. And anyway, my bike's broken. I need to get a new bike. But yeah, it's like I traded a rope to my friend John for a bike, a 20-year-old bike years ago,
Yeah.
and it didn't want to keep living, so I need to do
No.
that. But I
It
am signed
died.
up. Okay, here's exciting race news though. I'm
Okay.
signed up for Leadman, and so
Okay.
Leadman is the triathlon. So we start at the top of Silver Mountain. You snowboard down 1 mile, then you transition to your mountain bike, and you mountain bike down 7 miles, and then you run a 4 mile loop.
Mhm.
And so anyway, so the snowboard, obviously, straight down, it takes 60 seconds tops. Like
Yeah.
it's, because you're going from the top of Kellogg Peak down to the bottom of the Jackass Chair.
Okay. Yeah.
So right there. So you can, and they put some
Yeah, it's
gates up that you
nothing.
have to go between just so you don't like completely straight shoot it. But yeah,
Yeah.
but again, it's 60 seconds at the most. And then
Right.
yeah, and then you get on your mountain bike and it's 7 miles, but 7 miles not terribly technical and all downhill. Like you have to pedal 4 times. Actually, I had
Yeah.
even my derailleur broke the first year I did it, and I got stuck in my hardest gear, and I just had to jump off and run up like about, 15 meters or something. And for
Oh no.
the rest of the time it still worked fine. So it's no big deal. And then the 4 mile loop though, after you just got done, because you, as much as you're mountain biking, you're not pedaling that hard or anything, but as you're going, you just all the pumping and moving and stuff, you're
Mhm.
still breathing pretty good. And then to jump
Yeah.
off and go into a 4 mile run, you're like, oh no, I just warmed up on riding my bike. So now I should be ready to just take off. But after getting off your bike going, where you're averaging in that like 20 to 30 mile an hour range, And then
Yeah.
you jump off that with all this adrenaline going, everything, and then you start to run, you feel so slow. It doesn't matter what place you're going. It feels so monotonous and just
Oh,
painful to
that's
do.
funny.
And you're on like a regular, a paved running trail, like the Centennial Trail, that style. And
Yeah.
the route is very slightly uphill for like 3 miles and then a little steeper coming back down. And
Yeah.
and so it's just this monotonous, slightly uphill where it's just breaking you down mentally. Now it's like, I'm so slow. What am I even
Oh
doing?
man.
And then your watch isn't telling you correct because you started your watch telling you, at the top. So it's calculating your snowboarding, your mountain biking, all that stuff. And so it's not telling
Yeah.
you accurate splits at this point at all.
Oh
And so
man.
you don't know how fast you're going. It's just like, I'm just not going very fast. But
Yeah.
here's the exciting part of this though, is I just aged up. And if you can't get faster, get older, right?
So,
So
because what? How
finally
old are you now?
I'll be 44 for that
Okay,
race.
and that's a
So
new
I'm
bracket.
43 right now. And that's the oldest bracket. Is
Oh,
44 and up.
funny. Okay.
Yeah. So I might get to podium finally. I'm
So you're gonna
usually top
you're so
10.
you're gonna dominate the fort
I'm
because you're
gonna
the
dominate some
youngest up.
60-year-olds. I'm hoping
How?
so. Watch I get into this one. I still like top 10, just the
y-
way I've been doing
Yeah, probably.
it.
What did you did this one last year, right?
Last year I had to skip it, but I did it the previous 2 years.
The previous 2 years. Okay. And I feel like there was something. Didn't something break the last time you did it, or was like
Oh,
something went wrong? I thought.
well, yeah, it was so the last time I did it, actually, I borrowed Jason's bike and it held up great. It did everything just fine. The
Mm,
first time I did it, though, yeah, I had a bunch of things upgraded on my bike to be able to handle this better. I adjusted I changed the gear ratios. I mean, all kinds of things I
mm,
adjusted on it. And then yeah, one of my brakes failed immediately. And
yeah.
then my rear derailleur, the cable slipped on my rear derailleur, which then
Oh
just
no.
so it just moved me into the hardest gear
Okay,
and
that's
stay
what you were saying. You're in the
yeah,
hardest
and it
gear.
just stayed
Okay.
there. So I was just in my hardest gear the whole time, which again, on some of it was totally fine. On other parts, it's like, well, this doesn't work at all. I have to run to get speed up enough to
Yeah.
jump back on my bike and get it going again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was comically bad. And so then I get down to go run and I'm like way more out of breath than I planned because I've actually been working really hard on the bike where I should have been relaxing on the
Yeah.
bike.
Yeah.
And yeah, but then so I blamed it on that. So that was my first year. Did that and I was like, okay, my bike broke, all that stuff. I still made like top 10. So cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna borrow Jason's bike this time because it's in better shape. It's a little bit newer bike. I'm gonna do that one. And I also borrowed his K2 clickers because he still has
Oh,
them
nice.
from
Yeah,
way
yeah.
back. So I set those up on my powder board. So I set them up directional, full carving
Yep.
stance, and
Yeah.
and oh yeah. So the other trouble is first year, all the skiers ran out, jumped in their skis, and they're gone. Right, and I sit down and start strapping in, right?
Yeah.
Because it was an awkward place, so I didn't have it all
Yeah.
set up to do all that and everything. So I like get my board and strap in. I'm the last person to leave by the time I get going, and
Of
so
course.
I still passed about 30 people because I'm a pretty quick snowboarder, but it was like so bad. So the next year I borrowed Jason's clickers instead, and that
Yeah.
was a lifesaver. So yeah, just because I just ran over, clicked in, and I'm like, I also lined up in front because I can out sprint the skiers in my snowboard boots.
Of course.
So you
Yeah.
don't want to line up behind any skiers at the start line.
No.
And
No.
and also as you're running behind skiers, that's really scary because you have
I
ski boots
bet.
flying up at your shins. Like you're not going to pass anyone. Yeah. So I guess I'm telling this whole story backwards. But
Yeah.
the start of the race does a Le Mans start. So you put all the skis and snowboards and stuff like that basically in a pile
Mhm.
over here. And then you go about we were probably about 75 meters away from that, and that's where we start.
Okay.
So they'll start, you then run to your board or skis. Then you
Oh,
get
your
in
gear.
them
Okay.
and then you take off down the hill. And
Okay.
then
Okay. I
and
see.
then you get down there and they've got your mountain bike all set up there ready for you, your bag of your change of clothes. So you get down there and strip off whatever you got to strip off for the next section. For
Yeah.
me, I snowboarded then in a pair of shorts and like longer shorts that I had waterproofed. I scotch guarded them because I knew I was going to go through like some big puddles. So Scotch Guard in my
Yeah.
shorts, leggings underneath that I'm comfortable running in, and
Yeah.
then had a bike shirt on the top, and then a light puffy on
Okay.
that. So go down that. Oh, and then and then my bicycle helmet with a light beanie underneath my bicycle helmet. Because
Okay.
snowboarding with a
Yeah.
bike helmet, there's so much air going through, and I don't have any hair, so it
Yeah.
freezes.
Of
So
course.
you take, and you have to wear a helmet to snowboard and bike, and so you just do one helmet for both because it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense to not do that. I also did a change of sunglasses at each stage too. So that
Okay.
way, as they got dirty, I just got fresh sunglasses on.
Because you're just that cool that you need to
Mo-
look right for every. If you don't look the part for every transition, what's the point of doing it, right?
It's worse than that. You actually can't see. So so you got your first sunglasses for the snowboarding part that's going to keep the air out because you're going way faster. Then you
Yeah.
got to put on the other sunglasses that you don't mind just taking your hand and just wiping mud off of. So you
Yeah.
don't want nice sunglasses. You want a pair that you're just going to scratch up. You're just going to destroy them because the amount of mud that you get on yourself in the first little bit, you're just swallowing mud. So you transition onto your bike, got to change your shoes out, and then unzip one coat. Then I go, and then
Could
yeah.
you could you not ride the bike in your running shoes?
Well, the trouble is I have to ride through two ponds, and I don't want my running shoes soaking wet.
Oh, I see.
So
And how
I
long's
saw
the run?
4 miles.
4. Okay.
So I figured I could run way faster by changing my shoes.
Yeah.
So that the time would make up the difference because
Okay.
because
Gotcha.
if I'm that uncomfortable, I'm going to run so much slower.
But the run is all uphill to start. Is what you're saying? Yeah.
It's like 3 miles slowly uphill,
Oh
and
God.
then and then
3
the
miles.
last and then
Most.
the last mile is pretty good, but you're so beat at that point, it doesn't feel downhill anymore because it's
Yeah.
not
Oh,
steep
I bet.
downhill, but it just is a lot. But it's like just enough uphill to where you're like, I just can't quite get into my pace. I know I should be running this fast. I can't quite get there. You feel like something's wrong with you because it doesn't look uphill, but it is. It's like
Yeah.
that 1% grade,
Yep. Yep.
where it's just screws with your head. Where like I should be able to go a little quicker and fall into this pace, and I'm working every step.
It's like I have this run from my house to Golden Gardens and back. So from Ballard to the beach. So like
Hmm.
we're on the water. We are sea level, and I
Hmm.
think my elevation is 70 feet. No,
Okay,
not even 50 feet. Right.
sure.
That's my elevation difference on the run.
Yeah,
The way back, especially a certain part of it, feels so freaking hard
yeah,
because it's just slightly uphill at the very end of the run, but it feels like you're saying it feels flat, it looks flat, but it's not, and it just
yeah.
messes with your mind. Like I'd rather take an actual uphill versus this like slight grade,
Yeah. Well, I think it's because mentally you then have something to beat too, right? The slight
Right.
grade, you're like, why? I shouldn't be working this hard. There's
Yeah, exactly.
nothing's happening here. I should be fine. You got a big, huge hill in front of you, and you're like, getting to the top of that any way I get there is going to be a win.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
Right,
fight this
right.
thing, and you can kind of have that battle with it. Instead, it's just like, why am I just horrible?
Yeah. Man, I just suck at all of this, don't I?
Apparently, I'm a really bad runner. That's all there is to this. Anyway, but understanding that now, I'm excited for this year because I have my strategy. I know the mental hurdles. I know that things are going to feel slow there, but they're not, and I've got my clothing figured out. My change stations in the last one, I got them dialed. So that's
Yeah.
all there, and I've aged up. So all that,
Everything is working in your advantage.
everything is lined up. And if this doesn't turn out well, then I'm a loser. That's all there's to it at this point.
There's no going back at that point.
Because everything is in my favor right now. It
Yeah.
even is hitting the week before my half marathon, so my training should be perfect.
Yeah,
Because
nice.
I should be in shape to handle. Yeah, because the whole thing's going to take me a little less than an hour, and I'll be trained to run an hour and a half. So that should
When
be just a piece of cake.
so when is this? It's called the Lead Man, yeah?
Yeah, it's April 20th.
April. Okay. And
Yeah.
then and your half marathon is the week after, you said?
Yeah, I think it's the 27th or the 26th or
Nice.
something like that, if I remember right.
Fun.
Might be
That's
wrong.
exciting.
I wonder if I have that backwards. Maybe my half marathon's the week before.
That would
I
be
might be
less than ideal.
I might be totally wrong.
Oh no.
Either way, it's probably good though.
Sure, of course. Why not? Of course
Well,
it's
because
good.
because the race the week after your half marathon is also really good.
Yeah, that's true. Well, with that type of a race, yeah, you're gonna be more recovered than anything else.
Yeah, I'm not racing this, and the half marathon is not there to like just. Oh yes, so no, it's the week after. So April 14th is the half marathon.
Oh, so you got to go half first, and
Half
then you
first,
have your lead man.
then I got lead man, and
Okay.
so no, that's I think that's even better because actually it's even more time to get in better shape.
And
Yeah,
and you know why it's better? Because you just said it's gonna be better.
because this is what it is. These
Yeah.
are the dates, therefore it's better.
I just that's such a that way of thinking. You do it better than me, but we both do it pretty naturally. Is such a I think it's a really missed opportunity for most people. Of you think something's going to line up this way, a certain way, and you're like, oh yeah, it's going to be great because it's going to go this way, and then you find out it's the opposite, and you're like, oh yeah, but well that's even better because of this, this, and this.
Mhm. Yep.
It doesn't matter. You
Why
just
not?
are choosing to decide that that is the better option.
Why not make the reality of your situation awesome?
Exactly.
Right? Like I can't change these dates are. Those are the dates. Okay. It's better. Here's why.
Yes.
I could go the other
Explain.
way around and be like, it's worse. Here's why. Well, what's the point of that?
Yes.
There's no point in that.
Man, the 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 self, I don't know what you would call it, like the self spin. Like you're spinning things to yourself. Like, yep,
It's
this is why this is good.
I've been so I yeah, like you and I both again are like do that to an annoying degree, right? Like
Of
because people
course.
that go hiking with us or anything like that or really do anything with, especially when we were younger, was
Yeah.
and we're like, it's just it's around the well, I do that to you all the time too. You won't hike with me
All the
anymore
time. Oh,
because it is like
it's
it's
man.
probably like one or two more corners. In my head, that is true. It might
I
still
got to
be
be
6 more
in the
miles.
mode. I got to be
Yeah,
in the mood for David hikes.
but in my head, it's true. I'm not lying to anybody. That is
Of course.
exactly what I remember. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so we both have that issue. But and then in the last couple years, I've been very purposely ramping that up even further because it just is good. It's just good for my life.
Oh,
So
it
why not
absolutely
go
is.
further?
I
Yeah,
completely agree with the mindset. I also totally understand why people get really annoyed by it.
totally. And I think it's coming down to this is so good for my life that I'm not going to encourage anyone to come along with it. This
Yeah.
is what
Yeah,
but I'm
that's
going to do
fair.
this because it is really good for me. I also don't want
Yeah.
anyone to get broken that's not there.
Yeah,
Or
it's true.
even, even don't trust me when I tell you how easy something is going to be. I'm not trying to talk you
Yeah.
into it. I'm talking myself into it. That's the point. And I
Well,
want you to
yeah,
do
well,
what
and
you're
that's
comfortable with. This is what I'm comfortable with, and that's fine. If you're not, that's also totally cool. You do your life,
yeah.
and I don't want to be responsible for your choices. But mine, I'm going to push it there because it's just so useful in every aspect of my life.
Well, and and that's a good point because it's not only good for like you mentally, but somebody has to be optimistic about it, right? So
Right?
because I use that with training people constantly. We're doing
Mm-hmm.
this thing. This is what's next. It's going to be awesome. Or
Yeah.
I will say during the exercise, nice, easy. That's easy.
Yep.
I don't care that it's not easy or I'm not trying to make them feel like this should be easy. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of us has to be positive. One of us has to say this thing. You
Well,
do not have to believe it, but putting it out into the world, even if you're not thinking it, is
yeah.
going to help you for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to cycle into your subconscious somehow that, oh, this exercise is going to be now easier than you thought it would be
Well, and you
because
could
it's
watch
being spoken
someone.
out over you.
Yeah, you can watch someone go through that where where you can tell they're fighting a battle, and like
Yeah.
in their head, they're fighting a battle. But I'm watching them physically, and I know that their breathing pattern is not hit a point to where
Yeah.
this is going to kill them. We're not there yet,
Yeah.
you know. But I understand the mental battle. I've been there before. I've
Mhm.
shut down before with a heart rate
Yeah.
at 130 and like I
Yeah.
can't run anymore. I've been there before. But that was a mental battle, not a physical one. And
Yeah.
I
Right.
love helping people pass that where I could see that. I'm like, okay, I know you're hurting,
Mhm.
but this isn't, but you're not actually working that hard yet. You got this. You totally got it. I can see that your body's got another thing left here.
Yeah.
Let's tap into that for a sec, see how it goes.
Yeah.
And it's fun to watch that for me. I really enjoy that. And to see if I can
That's
help
a
people. And
fun.
sometimes that responds well for people.
Yeah. It's and I have clients that probably most of my clients ignore it at this point. That's just what I say. But
Right.
and I have some clients that get annoyed by it, and I have to actually explain it to them. Like, no, look, this is not because I think it should be easy or it's easy for me or anything like that. Like, I'm speaking this over you because you don't believe it. And so
Mm-hmm.
somebody needs to be positive in this situation. Like, it doesn't matter that this is a really hard thing. It might break you. You might throw up after this. Like,
Right.
this might be
Totally, mate.
exactly what you expect. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna speak the positivity over you
Absolutely.
because that's what's needed. And 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 people, it surprises me how many people still struggle to accept that as a helpful tool. Like, no,
Sure.
this is gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love it.
Mm-hmm.
it who cares what the reality is? By speaking that, it's gonna be better than it would have been.
No, and you make your own reality, like whatever
Yeah.
you want. Sometimes we can't, sometimes we're not strong enough for that, but we try to
Yeah.
be. And the more we are, the
Yeah.
better it gets. I've taken that also to the point of looking at, well, I mean, so there's the whole like the cliche thing of, just investments of that you should,
Hmm.
buy low, sell high, right?
Yeah.
The next part of that is every downturn is an opportunity. So if you had $1 million sitting in your bank and you see any stock tank one day, but you know that company's not going under, there's
Yeah.
your opportunity. Why not go triple your
Yeah.
money tomorrow, right? So that, I mean, that is just
Yeah.
that, right? We all know that. None of us really do that for. I mean, I'm sure some people do. I don't do that for a living or whatever like that.
Right. Me neither.
But to take that same, I've used that same concept though in other aspects of my life. Every time I see something down, the first thing I try and tell myself now. So you see a downturn, we see something negative, we see something not working, we see a bad thing happen. Okay, what's the
Mhm.
opportunity right now? There's an opportunity
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
and then in my job with real estate, same thing. Okay, we got, the market shifted here. We got that. What's the opportunity and who's that opportunity for right now? Because
Mhm.
for somebody, this is a really good we don't want to miss this opportunity. For some
Yeah.
people, this just made it so they can't do what they want to do. Like now they have
Yeah.
this goal, it doesn't work anymore for you. That's that's just the reality of some situations. But for
Right.
somebody, this shift now made an opportunity. And then I've seen that just correlate so much physically or any other part of my life of like, oh, we're here. What's the opportunity for this one? Okay, does that work for
Yeah.
me? Okay, let's go get that. Um, it snowed a week ago. I'm like, oh, good. My body probably could really use some more low impact running today.
Yeah.
And so I ran
Yeah.
on 3 inches
Exactly.
of beautiful snow, and it was just wonderful. And my objective changed rather than obviously I'm not going to run fast. My
Yeah.
objective changed to like, let's go work on my joints today. That is what the
Yeah.
opportunity is today. And it did feel great. And it brightens up the night too. And you run and it was just peaceful and quiet. And it was just
Yeah.
a wonderful run because that was the opportunity for that. And I was in the right state to take advantage of it. And it was just
Yeah.
wonderful.
And you were in the right state and you chose to take advantage of it. Like, you chose
Yeah.
to adapt to the situation of like, nope, this is different than I was planning, and this is how it's going to be good.
Yeah. What's the good
Right.
part? There's always a good
Yeah.
part. Yeah. There's
Always a
always an
good part.
opportunity.
All right. We should shut it down there because I think you got to bounce in like 2 minutes.
I got to run. Yep. Speaking of
All right.
opportunities, I had a deal fall apart. It's time to go fix it.
Okay.
I
Have
get
fun.
the opportunity to go find a better buyer.
There we go.
All right.
All right, man. I'll
All
see you
right.
later.
See ya.